Let's talk about the emotional cost of obsessive tracking and why this also is not a sustainable way to go. So many of us have been conditioned to believe that tracking, whether it's calories, macros, steps, your iFit, whatever it is, the scale, it's a form of discipline. We have been conditioned to think that, like, if we have data, we are disciplined. But it is not a sign of discipline. It's a form of trying to get control, right? And here's what I see time and time again, right? I'm not going to villainize tracking for certain individuals, right? Like elite athletes, diabetics, right? People that, don't have an addictive relationship with eating and are trying to weaponize tracking for this feeling of control or trying to mask a different issue, right? I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about us who are food addicts and who struggle with emotional eating and feeling out of control with our appetites, right? And want to change that. What I see time and time again when people like us, reach for these types of things is that what starts out as a tool and something that makes the nervous system feel calmer and more in control quickly becomes a major, major source of anxiety. Because tracking is triggering. It makes it so easy to fall into the all or nothing mindset, right? So easy to fall into the all or nothing mindset. It's like if you stay within your calorie limit, you feel accomplished. If you go over, you feel like a failure. If you haven't hit it yet, you're like scrambling to figure out how to hit it because you were told you have to hit it, and then you overeat, and then it's like, nothing is about your own intuition. Nothing is about your own self-led decisions. Right? If you hit your macros perfectly, you feel disciplined. If you don't, you feel guilty. If the scale goes down, you feel successful. If it goes up, you feel like you're back at square one. Right? This hyper focus on numbers, it prevents you from seeing progress in any other way, right? You could have more energy, you could have better sleep, you could have improved digestion, you could feel more connected to the people in your life. You could even have your clothing be fitting better, right? You could even feel lighter and, more, the brain fog could go away, right? Like you can feel more attentive and attuned, connected. But if the number isn't moving, it feels like none of it matters. Like that's just, and what happens when you feel like you failed, right? Because that's what happens. You feel like you failed. So you either double down, restrict harder, exercise more, right? That's what I did. I know that's what a lot of the women who I've worked with in the past have told me that was their experiences. Or you say, screw it and spiral into a binge and emotional overeating and the numbing and the escaping. Either way, the cycle continues, right? Whether you punish yourself with quote unquote discipline, restriction, punishment like that, or numbing and escapism, right? But so this is why tracking isn't helpful for people like us, right? For some, like I said, it can be a tool, but for many, it becomes another way to micromanage your body, another way to detach from what actually matters, which is how you feel. So let's redefine what healing actually looks like, because if healing isn't about hitting a goal weight, I know that this is a question that I ask myself, and I get this question so much from the women in my mentorship. So if healing isn't about hitting a goal, wait, what is it about? Healing is about creating a relationship with food and your body that feels safe and good to you, right? And now a number on the scale, like losing numbers on the scale might be included in that, but attaching the entire kit and caboodle to it, no. Right? It's more about learning to trust yourself, to trust that you can eat when you're hungry, to stop when you're full, to listen to what your body tells you it needs, and to know that even if it tells you that it needs something that a past version of you might have thought was a bad food, that's okay, right? It's about breaking free from the rules. There are no rules. There's, there's guidelines sort of, and there's like education, and there's, certain things that you can apply. But again, it's not hard and fast. Right? Everything can be adapted once you know yourself and you have that verified evidence that your body responds to that. You need to put yourself in a position to let your body tell you and show you that it can be agile and adaptable. And believe me, I'm a good example. I'm a perfect example. It will. Hundreds of my clients are good examples, right? Healing is breaking free from those rules and asking different questions, right? Like, am I eating in a way that gives me energy instead of making me feel sluggish? Am I making eating decisions that are, that are honoring how I want to feel? Like, if we're really honest, right? Like, don't you feel better when you eat mostly food that's high nutritional value? Like, yeah. I mean, I don't need someone to give me a rule of how exactly it has to look like in a day. But like, you know, if I'm being honest with myself, I'm much more me, and I'm much more available to be the best version of myself, the most awake, clear, truly confident version of myself when I'm putting healthy nutrition into my body. Right? I don't like, that's just something that I do now. It doesn't mean that I don't eat crap food sometimes. Of course I do. Of course I do. But I'm connected to my feelings, my feeling body enough to let that help me modulate how I choose whether I'm going to eat something that's high nutritional value or low nutritional value. Right? And that is something that only time and practice and courage allowed me to do. That is what's healing. And one of the things that's really important to practice here is non-scale victories. And this can be hard because we are conditioned to look at the scale as such a measure of progress. But when you stop obsessing over weight, you can learn how to measure progress in so many other ways and train your nervous system to believe it so that you can feel confident and self-accepting authentically. So if you start noticing when you're waking up feeling energized instead of exhausted, right? When you're feeling more comfortable in your clothes, right? Like, clothes are such a huge indicator. There are times where I've put on my clothes, I felt amazing in them, got on a scale, and the number was higher than I thought, right? Like, if this was 20 years ago, that would have sent me down a spiral. Now I'm like, I feel good in my clothes, kind of weird that the number's higher, but like, who cares? Who knows why that's the case, right? Like, maybe it's my body's carrying more water weight. Maybe my bone density is changing. It's like, we're just changing all the time. There's so many reasons, right? A non-scale victory that I know, a couple of the women in the mentorship have shared this with me lately, this exact non-scale victory, going out to eat and actually enjoying the experience instead of mentally calculating every bite. That is freedom. Oh my God. The fact that I could go to, to a restaurant and not try to mentally calculate what the dish with sauce and like random, root vegetables with oil and sauteed and mashed potatoes and chicken in a wine sauce, like, not try to mentally calculate how much calories those have. I mean, that's such a freedom. Not really care, kind of just let my hunger and fullness cues guide me. I mean, that's amazing. These are the wins that actually matter because they don't just last for a few weeks. They change your relationship with yourself forever.